The restless traveller. Kai was a seeker of truth, adrift in the bustle of modern life. He had achieved success, wealth, friends, even admiration, but felt a yearning he could not name. In the quiet of night, he would stare at the stars and ask, "Is this all there is?" He longed for meaning beyond the next paycheck or accolade. One evening, a traveling monk shared a tale of ancient sages who taught the secrets of a balanced life. The story stirred something deep within Kai. He decided then that he would journey to distant lands to learn from the wisdom of 7 ancient civilizations. With resolve, Kai set his course across continents and time itself, chasing the stars and the promise of deeper wisdom. Chapter 1. The Stoic Mentor. In the sunlit heart of a Greco-Roman city, Kai found himself at the foot of a marble forum. White columns cast long shadows on stone, and a gentle wind carried the scent of laurel from the distant sea. There sat a Stoic philosopher, calm-eyed, watching the passers-by. Kai approached the sage, heart heavy with restless questions. "Master," he said, "I see the world in turmoil and I feel anxious. I desire wealth and approval, but each time I reach higher, it slips through my fingers. How can I find peace?" The Stoic tutor looked at him kindly and began a simple parable. Imagine a sailor at the helm of a small boat. One day a storm blows in from the sea. The furious winds toss, waves high and low. The sailor cannot control the storm, but he can steady himself at the rudder. He grits his teeth and steers steadily, accepting the gale. He calms his fear and focuses on what he can do. Trim the sails. Keep the course. In time, the storm passes. The sailor survives not by fighting what he cannot control. Kai reflected on the parable. He realized the philosopher was teaching him to focus on what he could control, his own responses and actions, and to accept what he could not change. As the sun began to set over the stone citadel, Kai felt a quiet shift in his heart. He understood that the storm was inside him: fear, envy, pride. If he brought those under control, the world would seem less turbulent. He thanked the philosopher and prepared to leave. Before departing, he pondered how to apply this wisdom in his own life. In his modern routines, he would practice self-discipline, waking early to meditate, journaling each night about what he controlled that day, and cultivating an attitude of calm resilience. Kai settled by a harbor campfire, under a sky full of stars. He pondered the day's wisdom and noted the key lessons he had learned. Focus on what you can control. The Stoic mentor taught Kai that true peace comes from steering one's own thoughts and actions, rather than fighting the winds of circumstance. When he later felt anger or stress, He reminded himself to take deep breaths and focus only on what he could change. Virtue over wealth. The sage said that character is the greatest wealth. In modern life, Kai resolved to honor his integrity. When tempted to lie on a deal or cheat on an exam, he reminded himself that a good name and clear conscience were worth far more than a short-term advantage. Daily discipline. Stoicism emphasizes practicing virtue like a muscle. Kai adopted small routines, a morning walk or meditation to train his mind, and an evening review of his day. This steady training helped him face each new challenge with calm resolve. With the stars above and the gentle lapping of waves below, Kai rose at dawn. He felt steadier and more prepared for the challenges ahead. The path of wisdom led him onward, this time across the vast desert to the land of the pharaohs, carrying the Stoic lessons in his heart. Chapter 2. The Guardian of Ma'at. The hot sun beat down as Kai reached the edge of a great river. Palm trees lined the banks, and priests drifted along the Nile's temples. In the shade of a temple of Osiris, an Egyptian priest of Ma'at was teaching children the ancient laws of truth and justice. Statues of gods watched over scenes of pharaohs, making offerings to the earth. Kai joined a circle of curious listeners. "My friend," said the priest, "in Egypt we live by the balance of Ma'at, truth, justice, harmony. Every day we seek to honor the balance of nature and of human conduct. Perhaps our story of the scales will help you." He continued, "Once there was a kind judge in a village who insisted that even small wrongs be confessed. One man had stolen a loaf of bread to feed his family. Before passing judgment, the judge weighed the man's heart against the feather of Ma'at. The man felt great shame and returned the bread. His heart was light, and he was forgiven. But another, a rich merchant who cheated his customers, weighed his own heart and found it heavy with guilt. He could not pass the scales, and his life grew troubled." Kai listened, feeling the words resonate. He realized the Egyptian lesson, be honest and live in harmony. The priest nodded. "We also honor the earth. Each year, farmers give thanks to the Nile and share the harvest. When people take from the land without giving back, chaos follows. Even the gods follow this order, or chaos would reign." "Tell me, wise one," Kai asked softly, "how can I hold balance in my life?" The priest smiled. "Think of building a grand pyramid. Each stone must be perfectly placed, or the whole structure fails. So in your life, build on a foundation of integrity and gratitude. In every word and action, give something good back to the world. Then the whole structure of your life will stand firm." That night, as Kai walked along the riverbank, he understood how to make these ancient teachings modern. In his own city, he would speak truth, even when a lie might save face, knowing honesty builds trust. He would treat colleagues fairly, and even small gestures of kindness, a genuine apology, or offering help, would add balance to his relationships. If he benefited from nature, he would protect it in return by recycling or planting trees, honoring the spirit of Ma'at. By the banks of a lotus pond, Kai summarized the Egyptian wisdom, integrity and truth. From Ma'at, he learned that honesty keeps the heart light. He applied this by giving straight answers at work and being genuine with friends, knowing that lies only create hidden burdens of guilt. Balance and justice. The Egyptians emphasized harmony between giving and taking. Kai began scheduling time for work, rest, and family, striving for balance. He also committed to treating others fairly, sharing successes, and seeking justice in small things. Gratitude and reciprocity. The Nile's bounty taught Kai to practice gratitude and generosity. He started giving thanks for everyday blessings, sharing credit for successes, and volunteering. In doing so, his own life felt more balanced and abundant. As stars rose over Giza's distant pyramids, Kai felt his mind grow calm, like the still river at midnight. He had taken to heart the Egyptian wisdom of Ma'at. With these new principles as his guide, he prepared to continue eastward, back across the sands and toward the monsoons of India. Chapter 3: The Banyan Sage. Kai's journey carried him to a lush grove in ancient India, bathed in golden light. Beneath a towering banyan tree, a peaceful ashram lay, and gentle chanting drifted through the air. A venerable Vedic sage sat cross-legged on a stone, weaving flowers into a garland for a deity. Kai approached the sage, who opened his eyes with a serene smile. He invited Kai to sit, then asked, "What troubles your spirit, traveler?" "I have learned to shape my mind and life," Kai confessed, "but still I feel restless. Sometimes I question my purpose. Why should I do what I do?" The sage nodded gently. "In our tradition, we speak of dharma, one's righteous duty, and karma, the law of cause and effect. Let me tell you a story to explain." He began, "There was once a proud prince who ignored his people's needs. He lived in luxury but was miserable. One day, he met a simple farmer who tended his fields with care, giving thanks to the earth. The farmer faced hardships but was content. The prince asked him why. The farmer said, "My duty is to feed my family and honor the land. I find my purpose in these acts." The sage continued, "One must perform the tasks in front of you with devotion, without clinging to rewards. Picture a potter at his wheel. He shapes clay from dawn to dusk. When one pot is done, he does not mourn if it cracks. He simply makes another. Likewise, do your work like the potter, with focus and without attachment to the outcome." Kai felt understanding wash over him. He realized the sage meant that doing one's duty, dharma, selflessly brings meaning. He decided he would apply this by helping others and practicing patience. He would do his tasks sincerely and then let go of worry about praise or failure. "Master," Kai asked, "how can I calm the restless mind that always wants more?" The old man instructed, "Sit quietly each day and watch your breath. In stillness, you will touch the inner light within all beings. That light is constant and free. When you remember that, external gains will no longer consume you." That evening, Kai followed the sage's advice beneath the banyan tree. He felt a peaceful clarity as he focused on his breath. He reflected on how to bring Vedic wisdom into modern life. Perform one's duty, dharma. Living righteously by fulfilling his responsibilities brings true meaning. Kai decided to clarify his own duties at work and home, and to honor them each day. By focusing on helping others rather than just himself, he found motivation and contentment. Selfless action, karma yoga, like the potter, Kai learned to act without clinging to results. He began volunteering and doing acts of kindness without expecting recognition. He applied this at work, too, completing projects diligently and then letting go of worry about promotions or praise. Mindfulness and meditation. The sage's advice led Kai to a daily meditation practice. Each morning, he spent a few moments focusing on his breath, grounding himself. This daily discipline made his mind calmer during the hectic demands of modern life. As dawn broke in pink and gold, Kai bowed to the banyan sage in gratitude. Climbing higher into the mountains, he carried the teachings of duty, detachment, and inner peace in his heart, ready for the next chapter of his quest. Chapter 4. The Jade Mountain. Emerging from the Himalayas, Kai traveled farther east until he came upon a range of misty green hills dotted with bamboo. In a quiet village, he encountered a humble scholar sitting by a jade-green lake. The scholar smiled and motioned for Kai to sit under a willow tree. Kai confessed, "I have learned discipline and duty, yet I often feel strain. I rush through life and still worry about tomorrow. How can I find harmony?" The scholar nodded and began to speak. Long ago, a farmer sowed his field at the perfect season and then tended it patiently. He did not pull at the sprouts or fret over the harvest. Each day he worked steadily and respected the earth's rhythms. When harvest time came, his fields were full. Now imagine another farmer who planted too early and hurried and worried. His plants never thrived. The first farmer understood the Tao of nature, that there is a time for everything, and forcing growth only brings ruin. The first farmer lived in harmony with nature's timing and was rewarded. Kai looked across the tranquil lake and asked, "What is the best way to act each day, master?" The teacher picked up a bamboo leaf and let it fall. When it is windy, the bamboo bends to the gale without breaking, but stands tall when the air is still. Live like the bamboo, flexible yet steadfast. Do your best, but yield gracefully. This is the principle of Wu Wei, mindful action without force. As the sun began to set, the scholar shared one more parable. In a village there lived a kind potter and an angry man. Whenever the angry man scowled, the potter remained calm and smiled. Over time, the angry man's frowns softened until he began to smile back. The potter's gentleness changed anger into harmony. Kai absorbed these lessons about balance, patience, and gentle action. He decided that in his daily life he would seek balance, arranging his schedule to include rest and not forcing outcomes too quickly. He would practice kindness and humility. For example, in a heated argument, he would take a deep breath and respond calmly rather than reacting in anger. He reflected under the rising moon. Harmony with nature, yin and yang, Kai learned to seek balance in life. He balanced work and rest, seriousness and play. When he felt stressed, he took walks in the park or practiced Tai Chi to restore equilibrium. Natural flow. Wu Wei, the Jade Scholar, taught that sometimes the best action is flowing with circumstances. Kai applied this by not pushing projects relentlessly. When a creative idea stalled, he took a break and allowed it to incubate. Often, solutions came more easily after a pause. Patience and timing, from the farmer's lesson, Kai learned to recognize the right time to act. He scheduled important tasks when he was most focused and accepted that some goals take time. He no longer rushed investments or relationships, but cultivated them slowly, like tending a garden. Kindness and temperance. The potter's story reminded Kai to face conflict with calmness. In tense moments, he would breathe deeply and speak gently, often transforming anger into understanding. As dawn approached, Kai bowed to the Jade Scholar. He felt a deep sense of harmony within, as if his spirit had found a gentle equilibrium. Guided by this Chinese wisdom of balance and patience, he prepared for the greatest adventure yet, deep into the heart of the Mayan jungle. Chapter 5. The Jaguar's Leap. Traveling by sea and jungle paths, Kai finally crossed the ocean and walked beneath a canopy of towering ceiba trees. Colorful birds darted through the humid air. At the edge of a Maya village, an ancient stone temple rose into the sky, adorned with carvings of jaguars. A respected Mayan shaman sat on the temple steps, painting faces with sacred patterns. Kai approached with respect and said, "I have heard that the Maya honor the cycles of the sun and the earth. Please teach me what you know." The shaman smiled and placed a small corn cob in Kai's hands. "Corn is life to us," she said. "We watch the sun, the moon, the stars. All move in cycles. Once, long ago, our people forgot to honor this balance. They fought among themselves and took without giving back to the earth. One year, the rains did not come. The people suffered. She continued. A wise elder then taught the tribe to celebrate each planting, to give thanks to Pachamama, Mother Earth, and to share the harvest. From then on, the rains returned. This taught our ancestors that living in harmony with nature brings abundance. The shaman held up the corncob again. Life moves in cycles, day and night, growth and rest, planting and harvest. You cannot hurry the sunrise or the tides. In life, there is a time to wait and a time to act. Consider the story of a young weaver who couldn't sing in tune. Every day she practiced a little, trusting that her voice would improve. In time, her song became beautiful. If she had rushed or given up, she would have never learned. Kai listened as night fell, and the jungle began to hum with nocturnal life. The jaguar carvings seemed to watch silently. The shaman placed a hand on Kai's shoulder. Remember also Aini, the sacred practice of reciprocity. If you help your neighbors plant their fields, they will help with yours. When one shares with Pachamama and people, the community thrives. Kai considered how to apply this. When he returned home, he would honor these cycles and interdependence. He would allow himself rest when needed and celebrate successes with others. He would share his knowledge and success, for example, mentoring a younger colleague or donating a portion of his earnings to help those in need, creating a circle of giving and gratitude. By the flickering light of a firefly swarm, Kai noted the Maya-inspired lessons. Embrace natural cycles. The Maya taught Kai that life follows seasons and rhythms. He began planning big projects in phases, like planting a field in spring and nurturing it patiently. He also aligned his life with nature's cycle, eating seasonal foods and getting enough rest during busy times. Reciprocity and community. Aini. Kai understood that success is shared. He started collaborating more with others and sharing credit. When friends helped him, he repaid kindness with help of his own. This created a supportive network, just as Mayan villages relied on each other. Patience and perseverance, like the weaver. Kai learned to take his goals one step at a time and to practice consistently. If he struggled at something, he kept trying a little each day rather than giving up, trusting that progress would come. Gratitude for Earth. Kai felt deep gratitude for nature's gifts. He began giving thanks before meals and took actions like planting a garden. He treated the environment with care, honoring Pachamama as the Maya do. With the owl's hoot echoing through the temple, Kai rose with confidence. He had grown in understanding, and the wisdom of the Maya flowed through him like a calm river. Dawn was coming, and with it, Kai set his sights on Persia, the next realm of wisdom. Chapter 6. The Persian Light. After a long journey across land and sea, Kai arrived in a sun-baked courtyard of an ancient Persian city. Amber-colored columns and fountains lined the square, where scholars discussed poetry and philosophy. In the center sat a kindly elder beside a small flame, the flickering firelight dancing in his wise eyes. Kai bowed respectfully. "I have seen many lands and heard many stories," he said. "Yet I still wonder, how can I be sure I am doing what is right?" The Persian sage kindled a rosebud over the flame. "In our tradition of Zoroaster, we speak of Asha, the cosmic order of truth and righteousness. Imagine the world as a field of wheat. If everyone sows truth and sows deeds of kindness, the harvest will be rich for all. If one sows deceit and cruelty, the field yields only thorns." He then shared a parable. Once two travelers journeyed together. One thought good thoughts, spoke kindly, and helped others. The other harbored anger, lied, and took from people. They both sought treasure. The good traveler found that villagers welcomed him and pointed out secret paths to riches. The other found none, for people shut their doors. Eventually, he realized that the treasure he sought was the light in his own heart, and he needed to change his ways to find it. The sage continued, "Remember also the courage of ancient heroes. Just as Arash the archer aimed his bow to protect his people, align your purpose with the light of truth. Act for causes greater than yourself. That is true courage and purpose." Kai realized these lessons pointed to cultivating goodness at all times. In his modern life, he resolved to think positively, speak respectfully, and lend a hand generously. When faced with harsh words or cynicism, he chose optimism. If a colleague was rude, he responded politely. If he noticed someone in need, he volunteered help or donated, spreading light rather than darkness. He recorded his Persian-inspired lessons by the flame: honesty and righteousness, Asha. The sage taught that truth should guide every action. Kai began to be scrupulously honest in business and personal affairs, realizing that integrity would yield better long-term success and inner peace. Good thoughts, words, deeds. Kai committed to a positive inner dialogue and kindness. He started each morning thinking of something he was grateful for, kept a journal of good deeds, and spoke kindly even under stress. This nourished his relationships and brightened his days. Courage and purpose. Inspired by Arash's sacrifice, Kai learned to support just causes, even if it required effort. He began mentoring a struggling youth and taking stands on ethical issues at work. Dedicating himself to helping others gave his life a deeper sense of purpose. As dawn approached, Kai bowed and expressed gratitude. The Persian light of wisdom had warmed his soul. Filled with optimism, he now set his course southward to the mountains of the Andes, where the final teacher awaited. Chapter 7. The Condor's Call. Finally, Kai's quest led him to a high mountain pass in the Andes. Snow-capped peaks pierced the sky, and below, valleys of green stretched out. A winding trail led him to a misty altar, where an Andean shaman tended a small fire. A majestic condor soared overhead and seemed to welcome him. The shaman greeted Kai with a nod. "Here we honor Pachamama, Mother Earth," she said. "We are humble children of these mountains. Sit and listen to the whisper of the wind." Kai poured out his heart. "I have learned so much on my journey," he said. "But how do I keep all these truths alive? How do I serve others and the earth at the same time?" The shaman looked to the condor circling above. "Notice how the condor spreads its wings, riding the currents with ease. It relies on the wind, but chooses where to glide. Balance humility with strength. Also remember Aini, the sacred practice of reciprocity. If you help your neighbors plant their fields, they will help with yours. When one shares with Pachamama and people, the community thrives." She continued, "Let me tell you of a proud Andean farmer. He once refused to share his bounty. When frost came, his crops failed, and he had no one to help him. But his neighbors, whom he had scorned, shared their resources, so their whole village survived." The farmer. Epilogue: The Pilgrim's Return. Kai descended from the Andean heights and made his way home. Inside him burned the guiding lights of 7 cultures. Stoicism had given him self-control and virtue. Egyptian wisdom had taught him truth and balance. Vedic sages had taught duty and inner peace. Chinese masters had taught harmony and patience. Mayan lore had taught respect for nature's cycles. Persian prophets had taught optimism and generosity. Andean elders had taught community and gratitude. Back in his own village, Kai applied these lessons every day. When a storm damaged the community gardens, he organized neighbors to help replant, reflecting Andean reciprocity. When he faced a tough decision at work, he remembered the Stoic advice and calmly focused on what he could control. When family or colleagues complained, he responded with the patience of the Chinese sage and the compassion of the Mayan elder. In each act, from paying taxes honestly, to meditating each morning, to helping a neighbor, Kai saw the threads of ancient wisdom at work in the modern tapestry of life. Years later, Kai was no longer the restless soul of the prologue. He had become a teacher himself, telling the story of his journey around a warm fire and passing on the lessons he had gathered. People came to call him the living parable, for his life embodied the 7 truths of the ancients in every day. And so, Kai's transformation was complete. He had found his answers not in distant places, but within himself, through the timeless wisdom he carried home from the Stoic hills to the Andean heights.